This isn't just another collision. This was a blatant blindside attack, a moment of aggression so clear that it defies any explanation as hard play. Marina Mabrey lunged at Caitlin Clark from behind, arms swinging with force, knocking Clark off balance. That's not basketball, that's assault. And in that instant, the WNBA's reputation and the league's responsibility to protect its players both took a massive hit. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. Picture this. Caitlin Clark driving downhill, the energy building as fans rise in anticipation. Suddenly, BM, Mabrey sails in from nowhere, elbow first, sending Clark to the floor. No whistle, no protective barrier, no immediate response. Clark's body hit the hardwood with the force of a linebacker, and the arena echoed with shock. This wasn't a collision. It was a violation of the fundamental rules of professional conduct. And yet, the play was allowed to continue almost as if nothing happened. That lapse speaks volumes about the league's priorities, or lack thereof. This wasn't a one-off oversight. Earlier in the same game, J.C. Sheldon had repeatedly slammed into Clark with elbows to the ribs, recklessly barging her into boards, pushing off with brute force. But the referees? Silent. Not a single flag. The reaction from the whistle crew was muted at best, complicit at worst. It's a pattern now. Officials failing to act when a high-profile star is targeted. If Clark had been a lesser-known player, there'd have been fines by halftime. Instead, the message is crystal clear. Some players simply don't get protection. Walk it back, not ejected. Not even flagged for review. Despite a full-body swing that should have triggered an immediate ejection under league policy, Mabrey stayed in the game. No travel ban. No suspension. No accountability. That inaction isn't just careless. It's damaging. It's sending three dangerous messages. Violence is tolerated, referees are asleep, and star safety is optional. In the NBA, a blindside elbow like that would earn a multi-game suspension at minimum. The WNBA's silence? It's deafening. It's not enough to rely on automatics. The WNBA's leadership, including Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and the league's officiating department, need to publicly condemn the act. They need to explain what disciplinary actions will be taken and show the video on a massive stage to underline that this behavior is unacceptable. Without that, fans will conclude the league protects its stars, they're the right ones, but leaves others to fend for themselves. Clark wasn't just attacked physically. She was abandoned. Teammates and opponents alike froze. Not a single player stepped in, even briefly, to shield her or call out the foul. That silence is a moral failing. Sure, in the heat of competition, players don't want to escalate drama, but protecting one another is part of teamwork. It's time for players to hold each other accountable on the court, to say, we don't stand for blindside violence. If the community doesn't self-regulate, then the leadership hasn't set a standard worth respecting. This isn't an isolated scuffle. It's emblematic of what's broken in the league right now. Players' safety is an afterthought. Fans and families see this brutality and their faith diminishes. Toxic culture is spreading. Violence breeds more violence if unpunished. Media narratives about toughness were down dignity, but crossing into kneecapping is dangerous and illegal. Fans aren't tuning in for pitch battles. They watch for skill, heart, and competitive spirit. If games turn into dark, lawless zones, viewership drops. Sponsorships vanish. The league hemorrhages credibility. Here's what has to happen right now. Immediate suspension for Mabrey, even before the league office finishes its official review. Mandatory review and retraining for referees. No more silent whistles. Incentivize player accountability. Establish a communal code of conduct where players are empowered to flag egregious behavior. Public apology from Mabrey. Words don't replace action, but they'll signal accountability. If the pressure isn't applied now, nothing will ever change. This moment could be the turning tide, or the beginning of an unacceptable status quo. Let's not sugarcoat it. Continued neglect spells disaster. Tickets drop. Viewership flatlines. Talented athletes, Clark and others, look for safer, more structured leagues overseas. The WNBA could turn from a top-tier professional destination into a cautionary tale of unprofessionalism and poor enforcement. This is not about sensational headlines or fan outrage. It's about protecting athletes, fostering respect, defining professionalism on and off the court. If the WNBA wants to be taken seriously, it must act like a serious league. This mess can be fixed. Swift, visible suspension, consistent enforcement of rules, player and coach education on violent conduct, league-wide cultural commitment, not lip service, to safe competition. Alcohol and cannabis don't affect the quality of the game. Violence does. If the league cares about talent, integrity, and sustainability, it must protect its players to play hard, yes, but within boundaries that preserve dignity and respect. That elbow didn't just hit Caitlin Clark. It struck at the heart of the WNBA. Silence won't heal the wound. Swift action will. Fans deserve better. Players deserve better. The WNBA deserves better. There's something uniquely tragic about watching one of the league's brightest stars, Caitlin Clark, get systematically battered with zero response. This isn't a bench warmer. This is the ratings driver, the player putting butts in seats and eyes on screens. And yet, she's been treated on the court like a disposable rookie. When Marina Mabrey unleashed that hit, it wasn't just physical, it was symbolic. It said, "You're not safe here. Your status doesn't protect you." That's dangerous messaging in a professional league. If the WNBA allows star players to be taken out without consequence, it's sending a clear warning to every other up-and-comer. No matter your talent or marketability, you're fair game. A serious league protects its draw. And right now, the WNBA is failing to do that. Let's be honest. Officiating in the WNBA has hit a crisis point. These aren't just missed calls. They're dangerous no-calls that escalate physicality and send the wrong signals to players. When refs swallow their whistles on plays like Mabrey's, they're not promoting a gritty game. They're green-lighting cheap shots. Every time a ref overlooks a blatant foul, they're not just protecting the aggressor. They're punishing the victim. Clark has taken elbows to the ribs, been shoved mid-drive, and pulled down without a single flagrant call. That isn't tough defense. That's reckless indifference. Other leagues fine or bench officials for missing big calls. If the WNBA doesn't start holding their referees to the same standard, this problem isn't going away. Here's the irony. In other situations, the WNBA has been very quick to hand out fines and suspensions. If a fan tweets something offside or a player speaks too bluntly at a press conference, expect immediate action. But when a full-speed collision nearly floors a marquee athlete, crickets. This uneven enforcement creates chaos. Players no longer know where the lines are. Can you elbow someone in the back? Can you toss a verbal jab without consequences? The rules seem to shift depending on who's involved, and fans are noticing. The league needs a clear, consistent disciplinary code. Because right now, discipline feels like a dice roll. There's a difference between toughness and thuggery. Physical play is a part of basketball. Elbows in the post, hard contests, those are expected. But blindside assaults? Those don't belong in any league. Letting incidents like Mabrey's slide tells younger players coming up that brute force is part of the game, that intimidation equals dominance, that you can't compete on skill alone. That's how leagues rot from the inside out. Talent gets buried under bullying. Strategy gives way to survival instincts. And the fans who came for grace, finesse, and skill, they tune out. Ask any league exec what matters most long-term, and they'll say the same thing. Fan loyalty. That's the currency. Not just ticket sales and viewership, but belief. Faith that what they're watching is fair, and that stars are safe. This incident broke that trust for a lot of people. Social media lit up not just with outrage, but with something worse, resignation. Fans saying they don't expect better anymore, that this is just how it is now. The WNBA cannot afford that kind of apathy. Once trust is gone, it doesn't come back easily. And if Caitlin Clark walks away, even temporarily, the ripple effect will hit every box office in the country. Where is the statement? Where's the footage review announcement? Where's the press release outlining a path forward? Instead, there's silence, days after the incident. And silence is not neutrality. Silence is a message. It tells players, keep your head down. It tells aggressors, keep pushing. And it tells fans, we'll get around to it when we feel like it. In a crisis, leadership has to speak. If not to punish, at least to explain. Right now, the league is saying nothing, and that absence is doing more damage than any hit could. Think like a rival coach for a second. You watch Clark get flattened with no repercussions. What's your strategy next time? Turn up the physicality. Test the boundaries. Maybe even target her again. Because now you know the refs won't call it, and the league won't step in. That's not basketball. That's premeditated attrition. And if one of the WNBA's most visible athletes can be treated this way, what's stopping teams from going after others? The message isn't just dangerous. It's strategic poison. It turns games into grudge matches and seasons into slugfests. Beyond the bruises and body checks, there's a deeper cost here. Clark came into this league energized, focused, and determined to elevate the game. But now, her body language tells a different story. Shoulders slumped, eyes heavy, joy drained. She's not just physically worn down, she's mentally exhausted, always looking over her shoulder, always anticipating the next hit. It's impossible to play your best when your brain is stuck in survival mode. And if this continues, it won't just affect her performance. It could shorten her career. That's not drama. That's science. Chronic stress and physical trauma destroy long-term potential. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark. It's about every player who's been hit, shoved, and ignored. Every rookie who had to tough it out, because that's just how it is. Every veteran who watched teammates get injured with no flagrant called. The league's failure here is a betrayal of all of them. Because the moment safety becomes conditional, the moment enforcement depends on your name or narrative, every single player is at risk. They should be standing up, not just for Clark, but for themselves. Here's the real problem with letting this slide. It doesn't stop with one hit. It opens the door. It creates a culture. Next week, another foul gets missed. Next month, another player takes a shot. And by season's end, you've got a reputation problem that no amount of PR can fix. And it won't just hurt players. It'll hurt the next generation. High school stars will look at the WNBA and think, maybe college is safer. Maybe overseas makes more sense. The long-term cost of inaction is measured in empty seats, stalled careers, and broken bones. So what's it going to be, WNBA? Are you going to send a message that star players are worth protecting? That basketball is a game of skill, not a back alley brawl? That you have the courage to enforce the rules equally, no matter who's involved? Or are you going to stay quiet, let it blow over, and hope fans forget? Because we won't. And Caitlin Clark shouldn't have to, either. The fallout continues. What happens when a league forgets its values? Caitlin Clark didn't sign up for this. She entered the WNBA not just as a player, but as a phenomenon. The buzziest name in college basketball, the biggest draw in women's hoops since Diana Taurasi hit her prime. But what has the league given her in return? A harsh welcome party of elbows, body checks, and an unchecked free-for-all, topped off by a blindside assault that somehow didn't even get a flagrant call. It's a shame, because Clark is exactly the kind of player the WNBA needs right now. She's marketable, charismatic, skilled, and unafraid of the moment. But instead of being treated like an asset, she's being worn down like a punching bag. And if the league doesn't wake up soon, they're going to lose not just Clark, but everything she brought with her. The bigger picture is not about one game. Let's be clear, this isn't just about one moment. Not just about Marina Mabrey's swing or the referee's silence. It's about a pattern, a culture, a growing sense that there's no consistent leadership at the top and no accountability when the rules are bent or broken. Because once that pattern sets in, it gets harder and harder to pull out of. Today it's Clark. Tomorrow it's someone else. And eventually, the league finds itself trapped in a cycle of internal drama, public distrust, and declining fan faith. Look around. The WNBA is trying to grow. It wants national attention, bigger sponsors, full arenas. But that kind of growth requires trust. Trust from fans, from players, from media partners. And you don't earn trust by ignoring flagrant fouls and treating your stars like they're disposable. The fans are watching and judging. Here's the thing. Fans aren't stupid. They see the missed calls. They see the replays. They hear the commentators dance around what everyone already knows, that Clark was targeted, that the hit was intentional, that the league didn't act. And the more the league tries to ignore it, the more fans feel insulted, like their intelligence doesn't matter, like their loyalty is being taken for granted. This is how you lose people, not with one bad play, but with a steady erosion of credibility. And the WNBA can't afford that, not when it's just now starting to climb into the mainstream. The players deserve better. 2, we talk a lot about protecting stars like Clark, and we should, but this isn't just about her. It's about every single player on the court. Because if the league won't protect Caitlin Clark, its biggest draw, what hope does a rookie have? What hope does anyone have? A league that shrugs at violence and chaos doesn't just fail its stars, it fails everyone. The locker rooms, the coaches, the next generation watching from the stands. It sets a precedent that says, toughness beats talent and power beats fairness. That's not a league built for longevity. That's a league eating itself from the inside. So where's the accountability? What we need now is leadership. Real, public-facing leadership. Not vague press releases. Not we're looking into it. We need the commissioner, the referees association, and every single person in a position of power to take this moment seriously. Here's what that looks like. A formal review of the Mabrey incident. A clear disciplinary framework for dangerous plays. A renewed investment in officiating training. A public statement reaffirming the league's commitment to safety, consistency, and respect. If the WNBA wants to grow, these changes aren't optional. They're urgent, because every game without consequences is another step backward. What Caitlin Clark represents. Clark is more than a scorer. She's a symbol. She represents what the future of women's basketball could be: fast-paced, high-skill, widely watched. She's the proof that women's sports can generate real national attention without gimmicks or manufactured drama. But symbols can break. And if Clark continues to take hits with no support, if her body and spirit keep absorbing punishment while the league turns away, it's only a matter of time before she checks out. Maybe she takes her talents overseas. Maybe she steps back from the spotlight. Maybe she just loses the love for the game. And if that happens, it won't just be a personal loss. It'll be a failure of vision, a missed opportunity that the WNBA may never get back. The path forward. It doesn't have to end like this. The WNBA still has time to course correct, to stop this culture of unchecked aggression, to stand up for its players, to prove it actually values the talent it promotes. But that clock is ticking, because every minute they wait, another fan loses faith, another player feels exposed. And Caitlin Clark, the very reason thousands of new viewers tuned in, is left wondering why she was ever hyped up in the first place. The league can be great. It can be powerful. It can be respected. But it starts by standing up, by saying enough. If you want more of these no-nonsense deep dives, if you're here for the truth the league won't say out loud, subscribe. Because we're not looking away, and neither should you. This league has the talent. Now it's time to show the backbone. The locker room divide, when stars are left on their own. Let's talk about something that doesn't get enough attention in these situations. The silence inside the locker room. After Caitlin Clark was leveled on the court by Marina Mabrey, not a single Fever teammate stepped up with force. No public statements. No on-court retaliation. No flagrant emotional pushback. And while we're not advocating for a brawl, what does it say when your star player gets decked and the bench barely blinks? That's not unity. That's dysfunction. There's a quiet tension growing inside this team. Clark was brought in to be a savior, but she's been treated more like an outsider. She leads the league in hard fouls absorbed. She's physically targeted every game. And somehow, she's expected to handle all of it alone. No veterans shielding her. No teammates rallying around her. That's not just bad optics. It's demoralizing. And if it continues, it'll rot whatever chemistry this team is supposed to be building. The culture war beneath the surface. This story isn't just about one play or one team. It's about the cultural identity crisis happening across the WNBA. On one side, you have a rising tide of fans brought in by Caitlin Clark, new viewers who love basketball, who are tuning in for skill, tempo, and drama on the court. On the other, there's a defensive wall of established players and media figures who seem almost allergic to giving Clark any credit at all. She's not seen as a teammate. She's seen as a threat. The hostility is real. It's not just hard fouls, it's constant shade. Dismissive press conferences, side-eye quotes, undercutting commentary. All of it amounts to one message. You didn't earn this. And yet, Clark has done nothing but play through it. She keeps her mouth shut. She takes the contact. And she keeps trying to carry a franchise that, frankly, isn't helping her back. That's not privilege. That's grit. And if the league had any sense, it would be celebrating that, not punishing it. Why this is a crisis the league can't ignore. This goes beyond the game. This is about business, reputation, legacy. If the WNBA wants to compete with the big leagues, it needs to stop behaving like a small one. That means prioritizing player safety, delivering consistent officiating, and refusing to let personal beefs or jealousy dictate the way stars are treated. Right now, the league looks indecisive and petty. Viewers see it. Sponsors feel it. The media, even those bending over backward to protect certain narratives, can't ignore the obvious cracks. Every time a star player like Clark is attacked without consequence, the league loses more than just integrity. It loses future. This is about more than Clark. It's about the next generation. About whether future stars will want to play here, whether they'll feel safe doing so, whether they'll trust the league to protect them. Not just their image, but their bodies, their careers, and their passion. Marina Mabrey's role in the bigger story. What Marina Mabrey did wasn't just a moment of aggression. It was a choice. A choice to escalate instead of compete. And what's more disturbing is that she knew she could get away with it. She had no fear of rejection, no expectation of consequence. That alone tells you how broken the disciplinary system is. This wasn't a bench warmer trying to make a name. Mabrey is a known name in the league, a player with reputation and a role. She made a deliberate decision to take out the league's most visible rookie. And she did it because the system has taught her that it's worth the risk. That's the real issue. Not just what Mabrey did, but what she felt empowered to do. If this league doesn't slam the brakes now, it's telling everyone else that this kind of play is part of the game. Clark's choice is coming. Caitlin Clark may not say it publicly, but the pressure she's under is enormous. She's been used as a scapegoat, a target, and a litmus test for everything the league refuses to address. How long is she expected to carry that weight without help? How long is she supposed to keep her head down while the people around her either look the other way or line up to knock her down? At some point, Clark is going to make a decision. Maybe it's to finish her contract and walk. Maybe it's to take an overseas deal where she can play in peace. Maybe it's just stepping back emotionally from a league that never seemed interested in protecting her. Whatever it is, the WNBA will deserve it because they had a chance to act, and they chose not to. The time for subtlety is over. You don't need a crystal ball to see where this is going. The fans are watching. The media is watching. Sponsors are watching. Everyone is asking the same question. Is this really how the WNBA treats its best players? The league needs to stop pretending it's okay. Stop pretending this is normal, because it's not. Suspensions should have been handed out. Officials should be benched. And the commissioner? She should be at the podium explaining exactly what happens next, because what we just saw wasn't toughness. It was cowardice disguised as competition. And if the league doesn't draw a line now, it may not get another chance. So stand up, speak out, and subscribe if you're tired of the silence. We're not here to protect feelings. We're here to protect the future of the game. And it starts with standing up for players who deserve better. If you care about fairness, if you believe in protecting talent, if you're tired of watching great players get dragged down while the league looks away, subscribe. This is where we hold the line. This is where we call it out. The hits may not stop, but the silence, we're done with that.